Your cat is not living in your world. They are living in a completely different one, layered with information you cannot access, signals you cannot detect, and sensory experiences so far beyond human range that scientists are still mapping them. Every time your cat freezes and stares at a blank wall, or reacts to something invisible, or hears a sound 30 seconds before you do, they are not being mysterious. They are simply reading their world, not yours. Here are 12 things your cat perceives that you never will. 1. Ultraviolet light. Human eyes filter out ultraviolet light. Your cat's eyes do not. Research published in the Proceedings of the Royal Society Biology, one of the oldest and most respected scientific journals in the world, founded in London over 300 years ago, where research is reviewed and verified by other scientists before publication, found that cats have lenses that allow ultraviolet wavelengths to reach the retina, wavelengths completely invisible to humans. This means your cat sees patterns on surfaces, fabrics, and other animals that look entirely blank to you. That patch of wall your cat keeps sniffing and staring at, there may be something genuinely there, a UV visible marking, a residue, a pattern that you simply cannot see. Not nothing, something real, on a frequency you were never built to detect. 2. Movement at extreme speed. Your cat can detect movement at speeds that human vision cannot process. Studies on feline visual systems suggest cats have a significantly higher flicker fusion rate than humans, meaning they can distinguish individual frames of motion that appear as a blur to us. Think about what that means in practice. A fly crossing the room looks like a sharp, trackable object to your cat. To you, it is a smear of movement you can barely follow. This is not a small difference. It is the difference between a predator and a non-predator. And it explains why your cat can catch something midair that you did not even see move. 3. A wider field of vision. Human peripheral vision extends to roughly 180 degrees. Research on feline anatomy suggests a cat's field of view reaches closer to 200 degrees. That gap matters more than it sounds. It means your cat is always processing a wider slice of the room than you are without moving their head. Things happening at the very edge of their environment, in corners and doorways, are already inside their visual field. When your cat reacts to something behind them without turning, they did not sense it, they saw it. They have been watching it for some time already. 4. High frequency sounds far beyond human range. Human hearing tops out at around 20,000 hertz. Research on cat auditory systems suggests cats can hear frequencies up to approximately 65,000 hertz, more than 3 times our upper limit. This puts them in range of sounds produced by rodents, moving inside walls, insects, and electronic equipment that is completely silent to us. The hum of a specific appliance, the movement of something small behind a baseboard, the high-frequency signal from a screen on standby. Your cat hears all of it constantly in a room you experience as quiet, which explains those fixations with specific walls or corners that seem completely unremarkable to you. There is almost certainly something there. You just cannot hear it. 5. Staring at nothing. This is the behavior that generates more stories than almost any other, and it deserves a real answer. When your cat stares at a blank wall or tracks something invisible across the ceiling, it has nothing to do with the supernatural. Cats detect micro movements that are completely invisible to human eyes. Dust particles catching light at certain angles, air currents shifting direction, insects too small to register at a distance. What looks like nothing to you is often something very specific to them. Their visual system is simply operating on a level yours cannot reach. And there is another layer. Your cat's whiskers, which you will learn more about in a moment, are already detecting air disturbances in the room that no human sense can register. Your cat is not staring at nothing. They are tracking something real through a combination of senses you do not have in a frequency range you were never built to access. Science does not have an explanation for every single instance of this behavior, but the sensory gap between cats and humans is wide enough that the most honest answer is simply this: they are almost certainly perceiving something real that you are not equipped to detect. Has your cat ever stared at something you could not see? Tell us in the comments. These stories matter more than you might think. 6. The whiskers. Not what most people think. Most people believe a cat's whiskers exist to measure gaps, and that part is true. Whiskers are roughly as wide as a cat's body, and they do provide spatial information about tight spaces, but that is the smallest part of what whiskers do. At the base of each whisker sit highly sensitive mechanoreceptors that detect micro vibrations in the air, vibrations produced by moving objects, air currents, and nearby living things. This means your cat can detect the movement of something approaching them before they see or hear it. They feel the disturbance in the air first. Research on feline sensory anatomy confirms that these mechanoreceptors allow cats to detect air disturbances produced by nearby moving objects before any visual or auditory confirmation arrives. This is not instinct. It is a dedicated sensory system that humans simply do not have. 7. Earth's magnetic field. Research on animal magnetoreception, the ability to sense magnetic fields, suggests cats may have some sensitivity to the Earth's geomagnetic field, used at least in part for spatial orientation. This area of research is still developing and not fully confirmed in cats, but it has been taken seriously by researchers studying feline homing behavior, documented cases of cats finding their way back across distances of many miles, through terrain they had never crossed before, with no sensory trail to follow. The leading hypothesis involves a combination of factors, and magnetic sensitivity is among them. Your cat may be carrying an internal compass, one that has no equivalent in the human body. 8. Temperature variations with extreme precision. The tip of a cat's nose contains specialized thermal receptors capable of detecting temperature differences of fractions of a degree. Research on feline sensory biology suggests this precision far exceeds anything human skin can register. In practice, this means your cat reads the thermal map of every room they enter, the precise warmth of a sunlit patch on the floor, the heat signature coming off an electronic device on standby, the difference in temperature between two cushions that feel identical to you. Their choice of where to sleep, where to sit, where to position themselves is not random comfort seeking. It is the result of a continuous thermal scan of the environment that never switches off. 9. Your emotional state before you know it yourself. This is the one that changes everything. Research on cat behavior and human-animal interaction suggests that cats detect physiological changes in their owners, shifts in heart rate, changes in stress hormones, subtle alterations in body temperature through a combination of scent detection and behavioral observation. And they detect these changes fast, often before the owner has consciously registered their own emotional shift. Multiple documented accounts exist of cats responding to owners' health changes, positioning themselves on areas of the body experiencing pain, waking owners who had stopped breathing normally during sleep, remaining unusually close in the days before a medical event became symptomatic. In one documented pattern studied by veterinary behaviorists, cats consistently altered their proximity behavior before their owners showed any outward signs of illness. The mechanism is real. Cats can smell biochemical changes in the human body that are completely undetectable to us. What looks like mystery is almost certainly sophisticated chemical detection. a sensory system pointed directly at the people they live with, reading them continuously, adjusting accordingly. Your cat does not just react to how you feel. In many cases, they know how you feel before you do. 10. Air pressure and weather changes. Research and consistent owner observation suggest cats respond to barometric pressure changes hours before weather shifts become perceptible to humans. Increased restlessness, unusual hiding, reduced appetite, these have been documented in cats before storms, and significant pressure drops with enough consistency that researchers take the phenomenon seriously. The most likely mechanism involves the inner ear, which is exquisitely sensitive to pressure changes, combined with other pressure-sensitive receptors distributed through the body. What this means practically, your cat may begin changing their behavior hours before a storm arrives. And what looks to you like random restlessness or unusual hiding is actually a direct physiological response to atmospheric data you cannot access. 11. The scent record. Cats have roughly 200 million scent receptors. Humans have around 5 million. Research on feline olfaction suggests cats can detect chemical traces so dilute they would be undetectable by any standard human measure. When your cat enters a room, they do not just smell what is present now. They receive a layered chemical record of everything that has happened recently. Who was in this space, when they were here, what emotional state they were in, whether anything has changed since their last visit. Every surface in your home is a readable document to your cat. To you, it is just a room. 12. Subtle vibrations through surfaces. Cats have specialized nerve endings in their paws that are sensitive to low-frequency vibrations transmitted through floors and surfaces. Research on feline sensory anatomy suggests this allows them to detect footsteps, mechanical vibrations, and ground-transmitted movement that humans cannot perceive without instruments. This is almost certainly part of how your cat knows you are coming home before they could possibly hear you. They feel your approach through the floor, your specific weight, your specific gait, before your footsteps become audible to anyone in the building. Your cat is not waiting by the door because they heard you. They felt you coming through the ground from further away than you would ever imagine. Your cat is not mysterious. They are not reacting to nothing. They are walking through a world layered with ultraviolet light, ultrasonic frequencies, chemical histories, magnetic fields, air pressure data, and your own emotional state before you feel it yourself. Every time your cat seems to perceive something you cannot, they're simply being what they are. A sensory system of extraordinary precision, sharing your home, reading a version of reality you will never fully have access to. The question is not what your cat sees that you don't. The question is how much of your cat's inner experience you have been missing, and what changes when you finally start paying attention. In the next video, I go deeper into exactly that, how your cat experiences the most ordinary moments of your shared life in ways completely different from what you assume. What they feel when you pet them, what they think when you speak to them, what happens inside them when you look them in the eyes. It is on your screen right now.